It's about to get real today. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tynesha Renee, and here on Tynesha Talks, we're all about normalizing transparency. Today's video topic is about low value women. I know this video topic is probably going to be triggering for some people, but I do believe that there is a little bit of a disconnect between our perceived value and the value that we're actually bringing into our relationships, whether that be professional, romantic, platonic. There's just a disconnect. There is this stigma against modern women that we're very entitled, that we don't bring a lot to the table, that we want to take a lot but we don't give a lot. I think that sometimes there could be some truth to that, and I just hope that a lot of women do realize this instead of being confined by this protective wall of denial and, you know, living in a facade. So anyway, I randomly came across this video on YouTube titled 15 Signs of a Low Value Woman. I'm not gonna break down all 15 of the signs that they mentioned because we would be sitting here all day, child, and I ain't got all day, okay? But I am gonna point out some of the ones that resonated with me based on personal experience or things that I've witnessed with other women. These are the women who feel like they are worth more than what they actually bring to the table. These are the women who might say things like, I'm single by choice. No man can handle me. Men are intimidated by me. There aren't really any men who are on the same level or bracket as me. The video went on to say that these are women who could have been spoiled as a child. They really didn't have to work for a whole lot of the things that they got, or they were praised just for existing. So they go out into the real world as an adult thinking that they're so great because that's what their parents or their family members told them as a child, when in actuality they're really not that great. But they insist on wanting top tier men. They want the kings of the world. This is the one that kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because I can definitely see how this might have played a role in some of my earlier relationships. I would also add that social media definitely has caused an inflated sense of value in a lot of women. You can have 50,000 followers, but in real life, if you don't have any friends, you're always falling off with people, you struggle to develop close connections and maintain those connections with people. What is that saying about you? There could be 100 men in your DM saying how sexy you are and that you have a nice body, but if no man is really trying to get to know you and commit to you, then what does that really mean? A lot of women are viewing that attention that they're getting on social media and they're like, hey, you know, I'm a catch. So many men are after me, so I'm gonna be super selective with my options because all these men are basically falling at my feet. The options are just endless. But you really don't have that many options. Out of those 100 men that might be DMing you, 50% of those, let's say, just want to have sex with you. So basing your sense of value off of things like that is problematic because it's not real. The other thing that I would add on to that is pretty privilege. Pretty privilege, pretty privilege, pretty privilege. We're gonna dive into pretty privilege a little bit more in a future video, but what I will say today is that it has been scientifically proven that people who are more attractive get treated better in society. They're more likely to get hired at jobs. They're perceived as being confident and having other positive personality traits. We just like attractive people. But the problem with pretty privilege is that a lot of women are just focusing on their looks. So much of their value or their perceived value, what they can offer in a relationship, is based on how they look. And this is why I think a lot of attractive women struggle with dating, because we have a hard time understanding that looks are important, but it's not the most important thing. And just because you look good doesn't mean that you're going to be seen as a person of value to a man in a relationship. Please don't shoot the messenger. This is a tough pill to swallow for a lot of women, but I have to say that I get it. I would prefer to not deal with a man who has children. Therefore, it would be hypocritical for me to say that men shouldn't be allowed to feel the same way. Now, are there mothers out there who are amazing women and who can make amazing partners? Yes. Do these women eventually get married even though they may have children from a previous relationship? Yes. What is also true is that your general perceived value based on societal standards is likely going to be less than a woman who doesn't have kids. I get that there are so many things that could have led to a woman splitting from the father of her child or children. Maybe he was a cheater. Maybe he became toxic after the baby was born. Maybe he whispered a bunch of sweet nothings in her ear and then all of a sudden switched up when the baby was born. But the sad reality is that most men in society are not going to care about that. They see a woman with children as a liability. They're kids that they have to feed. If you guys have children together, the money that goes toward their biological children is kind of pulled away because they have to take care of your children too. This sounds so bad, and I know that it does, but this is just really what it is. Now, men, please correct me if I'm wrong in this statement. For a lot of men, that's seen as a woman who makes bad decisions, has poor discernment, and to them that can be a red flag when it comes to committing to you. That's really all I'm gonna say about that. I don't really have more to add onto it because I don't have any children, but I know that a lot of you who watch my channel do. So let me know what you think about that in the comments. Woo! This next one might ruffle some feathers. Women who are out of shape. I know. Sis, I get it. But I believe that you are really doing a disservice to yourself to do these mental gymnastics to justify reasons why you shouldn't be in shape, or justify reasons why people shouldn't look for people to be in shape or remain in shape in a relationship. Oh dear, I feel like this conversation is about to go left. I was recently having this conversation with a woman on Facebook, and her perspective was that men are not justified in feeling frustrated because the women that they would prefer to seek are not keeping up with their appearance. The perspective was, well, if you don't like women who are overweight, seek out women who are not overweight. There are a lot of things wrong with that statement, but I think the overarching theme is that there is a lack of accountability. If a man is telling you, one of the things that I really like in a woman is a woman who is active, goes to the gym, maintains her appearance, and you're saying, well, that's a personal problem that has nothing to do with me, you need to go out and seek other women. If multiple different women are feeling the same way, then the pool of women that are fit within the demographic that men are looking for is consistently going to shrink, because you're deflecting their concerns and making it feel like something is wrong with them asking that of you by telling them that they just need to seek other women. In my head, this would be the equivalent of a woman saying that they want a man who is a protector and is respectful and is gonna hold down the fort and pay the bills. And a man responds and says, well, if you want a man like that, that's a personal problem. You need to go look elsewhere. If every man is saying that, as a woman, you're gonna get frustrated because, again, the pool of eligible bachelors is gonna keep shrinking, meaning that the probability of you landing a man who checks the boxes that you want is constantly decreasing. Are y'all following me so far? I hope that you're following me so far. In a nutshell, women who are out of shape and are not taking steps to get in shape and live a healthier lifestyle are seen as women who lack self-control, lack discipline, and might lack self-awareness, because a lot of women are in denial about the fact that they're big, or they don't see that they're gaining weight. I've been there. This was definitely me during COVID, so I'm speaking from personal experience. I'm gonna leave that one there. Unresolved trauma. Oh my gosh, I'm pulling the skeletons out the closet today. This is the one that really resonated with me the most, because I think that a lot of my relationships failed, or the men that I chose in the past, which led to failed relationships, had to do with the fact that I had a lot of unresolved trauma. You can have trust issues from past relationships. You can have insecurities because a person cheated on you with someone who you felt was more attractive. Perhaps you you dated someone who was abusive or toxic in some way, and now you're a bit more guarded when it comes to dealing with men in the future. My unresolved trauma largely came from issues with my mom and my dad. A lot of those traumas led to me being very closed off when it came to men. Men felt like I wasn't vulnerable enough, that they weren't able to read me. I had control issues. I felt the need to be in control of everything, which caused power struggles with men. It was just a lot going on that I didn't realize until I had conversations with men that I've dated and they shared that with me. And also when I went to therapy. Counseling is essential, y'all, okay? This is where we're seeing a lot of the women that men might consider to be masculine or hyper independent. And I will bet any amount of money that at least 90% of the women who are walking around saying that they don't need a man, men are important, they're battling some form of trauma from past relationships, family dynamics, something that happened that skewed their perception of men, and they're responding in a way that they feel will protect them from being hurt again in the future. Now, as an adult, I realized if you are a pretty woman, right, so that's your outward display, and you have all of these great qualities that you're hiding from men because you feel like you can't be the best version of yourself or be vulnerable with men until they really prove themselves, until they break down all those walls, and then you can trust them, and then you can be your true self and be a great partner. You're pretty much leading with all of your physical attributes, and men aren't seeing that softer side of you, you know? Logically, men are going to want you for more of the physical reasons, sex, right? And if a man thinks that all you can offer is sex, they're not gonna wanna commit, and it creates this vicious cycle. And I remember getting so frustrated by this because I'm like, dang, you know, it's nice to be attractive, and I understand that I have privileges because of it, but I'm more than that. So I guess what I'm saying is the women who have this unresolved trauma and it's causing them to have a hardened exterior, they probably are women of value, but because they're hiding those things that are valuable, they are in turn seen as being low value women. One thing that they mentioned in the video, which is a word, is that we are not responsible for a lot of the things that happen to us in life. A lot of it is unfortunate circumstances, but we are responsible for our own healing. The need to be right all the time. The hit dogs are hollering, and baby, I'm a hit dog. These are the women who need to be right all the time, and the reason why they need to be right all the time is because it's seen as a form of weakness if they're wrong. Their feelings matter more than what the truth is. They will literally argue with men until men fold, and it's not because they agree with them, it's just because men don't want to talk about it anymore, so they'll just kind of shut down. Honestly, I think that this is one that a lot of women struggle with, and it's something that I have definitely struggled with, that I actively work on every single day, especially being a content creator and responding to people in the comments of my videos. Just speaking for myself, I know it can be hard, especially when you're very strong-minded, very vocal, very opinionated. I've noticed that there is power in being quiet. You don't always have to be the loudest person in the room, the first person who speaks up and voices their opinion in a room. It's okay to disagree with someone, and if someone disagrees with you, that's fine. Let's agree to disagree is literally my favorite phrase right now. So I can definitely understand why a woman is seen as being low value if you always feel like you need to be right. Because if you feel like you need to be right, how is your man ever going to lead in your relationship? If he says, this is what I think is best for our household, and you're like, no, we're definitely not doing this because I think X, Y, and Z, there's always going to be a power struggle. I imagine that as a man, you would kind of feel out of place if you're dating a woman who doesn't allow you to vocalize what you feel is best for your household. Granted, the woman still has a voice, and we're not saying that you can't say anything, but if you're constantly bickering with someone who's supposed to be your partner, it's not really a partnership. You guys are more so opponents. Therefore, you are seen as having lower value. The biggest takeaway that I got from this video is that your value isn't determined by your popularity or you being famous. It's also not based on the amount of money you have or how successful you are in your career. And I think that a lot of women are misconstruing those things that are valuable on an individual level with value or what they bring to the table in a relationship. This is where that that disconnect is coming from, where men feel like women are entitled and truly aren't bringing anything of value into the relationship. If I'm being completely honest, there were some things on this list where I'm like, ooh, that's something that I probably could work on, or ooh, that's something that I definitely struggled with in the past, and it makes sense why my relationships didn't work out. And that's okay. You know, I think the first step to growing as a person is to acknowledge where your shortcomings might be. But if we're in this sense of denial and we feel like we're perfect and the problem is everyone else but ourselves, we're gonna keep getting the same results. I would hate for anyone to wake up and they're 50, 60, 70 years old and they have a bunch of regret with the way that they handled their relationships because they weren't growing, they weren't working with people to figure out how they could be better people. But that's all I got for y'all today. Stay safe, stay blessed, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.